Ken Trahan with Lenny Vangilder. It's our First NBC Bank Weekend Review. Brought to you by First NBC Bank. First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. Well, it was an interesting night for the Pelicans. They got a win on the road last night, and it's the first time they won a game with both Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins in the lineup. Coincidentally, both had big numbers in the game, 26 and 15, 31 and 9. Throw in Drew Holiday's double-double, and that's what they have to do if they want to win. Granted, Lenny, it was against a poor team, but you got to start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere, and you got to play better than what you played against the Lakers because you won't beat many other people other than that. It's, to allow a Lakers team that's honestly not very good to score 39 points in the second quarter, to let them go on a 14-0 run in the fourth quarter to overcome a 14-point deficit and tie the game up late, that you've got to come up with some late-game heroics when in reality you should have coasted. Those are the kind of things they've got to avoid, and that was obviously with some of your best players on the floor there in the fourth quarter. Second quarter, you're trying to, integrate your second units in at that point, but this is still not a great basketball team. I mean, the bottom line is Boogie Cousins was not some magic potion that was going to come in and suddenly take a 30-win basketball team and turn them into a 50-win team. Wasn't going to happen, and you really, chemistry is a big part of basketball. And that's going to take some time, and you're into the season, and it's not like you're going to suddenly get a ton of practice time to be able to deal with this.
Much tougher opponent tonight at Utah. And, of course, that is a basketball team that's not only going to make the playoffs, but is a dark horse in the Western Conference. That's a young, coming, talented team, and they handled the Pelicans in New Orleans very easily.
They did, and it doesn't get any easier after that. You do come back home. A lot of these short West Coast trips this year on the schedule. Just 2 games quickly out west and back home to take on a very good Toronto team on Wednesday night. So it does not get any easier for New Orleans.
NFL Scouting Combine, of course, that making big news over the weekend. Everybody gets caught up in speed. Leonard Fournette's weight was a topic, but then he went out and ran well, so maybe that dispelled some people where that was concerned. Of course, Myles Garrett off the charts, everybody talking about him. And then, of course, where the Saints are concerned, the focus, as everyone has written, they've been paying close attention to linebackers and defensive backs. Yeah,
and the DBs, wrapping up the Combine on Monday, so certainly a lot of attention focused there. But obviously a lot of chatter about the whole situation, as we talked about last week, with some of the trade discussions regarding Brandon Cooks. The report over the weekend that the Patriots may have offered the number 32 pick in exchange for Cooks, and the Saints politely declined. I think they want more for that. Look, the Patriots, while they're in the first round, that's a glorified second-round pick because they're picking last because they won the Super Bowl. So this is a guy who obviously you spent the 20th pick on 4 years ago, and not only did you spend the 20th pick, but you traded up and gave away a third-round pick to get him, and he's a proven commodity, whereas, you're dealing in the first round with probably 50-50 shots in terms of whether somebody's going to be a very successful player you look at over, just over the course of time. So let's see. You got multiple suitors out there apparently interested. I think it's becoming clear at this point that Brandon Cooks will not be on the Saints roster in 2017.
Starting to look that way. Duke Riley also ran well, so that certainly will help his stock from the Combine exit poll, if you will. So from the standpoint of high school sports, it's been another interesting weekend and a great week to come. Girls basketball, congratulations to Trahan and to John Curtis for winning state championships in Hammond over the weekend. Now the boys get it started today. Crescent City playing this afternoon in the Division 5 semifinals, and still to come, 3 teams from District 8 5A that are in the semifinals. Of course, the select side, you've got a whole bunch of teams there. Country Day, Riverside, De La Salle, to name a few. Obviously, it's a big week in Lake Charles as well, and we'll be there.
Looking forward to seeing some good basketball, in fact, and a lot more. I think a lot more local chances on the boys' side to win state titles than on the girls' side. And certainly kudos to Trahan. They've had that undefeated bullseye on their back the entire year and have managed it, and went on. And when you've got the best player, like Kyra Erson, that makes a big difference. She was clearly the best player on the floor every time they took the floor, and she manage those expectations and led her team to victory.
Yeah, Brother Martin and St. Augustine, of course, in Division 1. They're playing on Thursday in the semifinals, a rubber match, if you will, to get to the state championship. Speaking of basketball, the UNO Privateers are the champions of the Southland Conference. A fantastic accomplishment and story. Congratulations to Mark Schlesinger and his team for their win at Nichols to clinch that. And now All they have to do is go win 2 games if they want to go to the NCAA tournament. That in Katy, Texas, later this week.
Yeah, that's all. That's it. It's look, one thing about the Southland, while UNO won the league outright and did it over the course of 18 games, it's a very balanced league. As you could see just by some of the, how the standings fell out. I mean, UNO finished 13-5. There was a 5-way tie for 8th with all kinds of crazy tiebreakers coming into play to decide the last team that would get in. And it even went so far to confuse the conference office. That's how it looked like Nichols was going to get in. It turned out Central Arkansas got the 8th spot, and they're on UNO's side of the bracket. But kudos to the Southland for this. Knowing they're a one-bid league, they do their tournament the right way. The top 2 seeds get buys all the way to the semifinals. UNO does not play until Friday evening. And that you've earned the right over the course of 18 games to have that. Instead of just playing a traditional 8-team bracket where you're playing, 3 games, at least they now have a bye, and those teams 5 through 8 potentially have to win 4 games.
Yeah, it was obviously a snafu in terms of who got that 8th spot. Tom Burnett issued an apology for it, basically, and an explanation, and that's unfortunate, but we move on. College baseball, it was a disappointing weekend for LSU in Texas because they were oh so close. Had the lead over TCU on Friday, and Alex Lang spit the bit. They scored 6 runs on TCU and lost. Then they went on Saturday behind Poche, who clearly has been their best pitcher. And then Sunday blew a late lead and lost to Texas Tech. So they leave 1-2. Not terrible, but obviously not what they were hoping for.
Well, it was a good weekend for the Big 12. They won 7 of the 9 games. I mentioned Sunday night on Twitter. It was a great atmosphere with great baseball. Kind of, sadly, if you will, reminded me of the days that we'd spend 3 long days in the Superdome watching what was first the Busch Challenge, then the Winn-Dixie Showdown. It was a lot of fun to see that kind of baseball, big crowds, everything you want, a great atmosphere. And I think at the end of the day, LSU comes away with 2 losses, but they'll be a better team for not only facing this good competition, but being in that atmosphere.
Yep, Tulane, of course, lost their Sunday game after starting off the weekend pretty well. UNO, of course, still, finding their way in terms of making sure they have enough pitching to be able to sustain what's a pretty good hitting team. Delgado split a doubleheader, so college baseball well underway.
Yep, and we're full into baseball season, not just on the college side, because we've got.
That was my transition.
Yes, exactly. We've got high school baseball coming up tonight on SportsNOLA.com. The start of the First NBC Bank Prep Showcase, live from the Southeastern campus in Hammond, Holy Cross, and St. Thomas Aquinas. Should be a good one. Good atmosphere, great ballpark to broadcast from. We're looking forward to being there. First of 10 games we will have over the next 2 months in high school baseball in the First NBC Bank Prep Showcase.
And that start time tonight?
6 p.m., and you can catch it live on SportsNOLA this evening or watch it, or better yet, do both. Watch it tomorrow at 4:30 on WHNO TV 20.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. I'm getting used to going to Hammond after the girls' basketball last week. It's all good. We look forward to it. It should be a wonderful season on the First NBC Prep Showcase. Lenny, as always, thanks. Have a good week.
We will see you later this week.
That's our First NBC Bank Weekend Review, brought to you by First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. For Lenny, I'm Kenny. Have a great week, and God bless you.